Om Sadashivasamārambhām Shankarācārya Madhyamām Asmadācārya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shruti Smriti Purānānam Ālayam Karunalayam Namāmi Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankarācāryam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau punah punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe Om Shanti 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 Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha Hari Om. So we are entering a new text now after our Tattva Bodha. The name of the text is Drig-Drishya Viveka. In Sanskrit, Drig-Drishya Viveka. Drik means the seer. S-E-E-R, seer. Drishya means the seen. And Viveka, analysis. The seer seen analysis, which is the name of the text. Now, exactly what the Acharya, the author of the text, does throughout the text. It is also known as Vakya Sudha by some commentators. Vakya Sudha means the nectar of all the sayings. So there's some great sayings in the Upanishads and in our Vedanta Shastra, Mahavakyas. These are sayings that reveal the oneness of Ishvara and the individual, the oneness, which is the crux of Advaita Vedanta, that there is only one. Although seeming multiplicity is there, seeming duality, but in essence, there is only one pure, limitless consciousness. That's called Brahman. And that same limitless consciousness is equated with the individual. And on the individual level, it is called Atma. So we've seen this. These are just different words for the one, only one consciousness. So here, Drig-Drishya Viveka is a text that deals with oneself. So we see different types of texts throughout the Vedanta Shastra, texts that deal with Ishvara, Bhagavan, like Bhagavad Gita deals with everything actually under the sun, anything, that's why it's a complete text. There are texts that deal with everything, Ishvara, you, and the Jagat, the world as well, understanding of these three things. But this text is all full of it is focused on the individual. The whole text is focused on understanding who you are. So when the question comes, who am I? Who am I? The question comes, this book gives you the analysis of the I, what the I really is. So before we get into the analysis, just a little understanding of the Vedanta Shastra and the corpus of Vedanta literature and how this book stands, where this book comes in the corpus of literature. It is said, Vedanta Nama Upanishad Pramanam. What is Vedanta? It is actually the source knowledge which is known as the Upanishads. People say it's a positional word, Vedānta, which means the end of the Vedas, but it is not just positional end. It is the final philosophy. After having done everything that the Veda talks about, all the goals of human life, the desires, and all the desire fulfillment, we've seen that the Karma Kanda portion, which is the major part of Veda, deals with desires and their fulfillment. So the Veda is actually like a manual of, a to-do list. What do you want? Do you want a son? Do you want progeny? Do this ritual. You'll get this. Do you want money? Do this ritual. You'll get this. So this is the major part of the Veda. It gives you a full life. If all your desires can be fulfilled by certain rituals that it advocates, practices. But the Upanishads go totally away from that side. They go away from the ritualistic side. They go away from all this desire fulfillment. And for the discerning people who have had enough, they've seen life, they've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, as you say, and they've said, they start questioning, what is it about? What is this life really? This is where Upanishads, which are found at the end of the Veda, the highest philosophical wisdom is found in the Upanishad, so the spiritual knowledge. And it is the pramana for the subject matter of what? The pramana for the subject. Pramana means of knowledge. The Upanishads are a means of knowledge to be used as a means of knowledge to reveal what? To reveal the self. Self-knowledge is gained through Upanishads. Like you gain biology knowledge through biology textbooks, you gain chemistry knowledge through chemistry textbooks. How do you gain self-knowledge? Self-knowledge is gained through the Upanishads. So it is immediate, direct. The subject matter of Vedanta is direct revelation of you, of the truth. And in the tradition, there are 10 Mukhya Upanishads or 10 primary Upanishads. Of course, there are many more. There's actually considered to be thousands, but 10 primary Upanishads. These are said to be primary because Adi Shankara, the great Advaita Acharya, Adi Shankara has written commentaries. He's picked out these 10 specifically and has written commentaries for these. And these are Isha, Kena, Kata, Mundaka, Mandukya, Prashna, Aitriya, Taitriya, Chandogya, and Brihadaranyaka. These are the 10 Upanishads. And maybe, in future we can enter and see some of those Upanishads. Some are very small, like Isha Upanishad, very, very few mantras, tiny. Mandukya Upanishad only has 12 mantras, even more small. But the Karika, what the other commentators have written on that Upanishad, that is vast. So there's 12 mantras are pregnant with meaning. And Brihadaranyaka, which means great forest, the great forest Upanishad is actually like a great forest. It is totally opposite Isha or Mandukya Upanishad. It will take a lifetime to read that Upanishad. It's that big. So you have some Upanishads, very small Upanishads, some that are very large. And what are these Upanishads? They are records of the spiritual understanding of the rishis, of the sages. It is the records, like the journal of understanding of their spiritual experience. What is it they've discovered? Rishis are considered spiritual scientists. In the realm of spiritual science, their discoveries are written in these books called the Upanishad. And the essence of all the Upanishads is contained in one book in our tradition. It is a Smriti text, which is a remembered text. It is not directly Upanishads, but it is considered the essence of all the Upanishads. That is why it becomes such a great text in the tradition. Bhagavad Gita has the essence of all the Upanishads. It has verses directly drawn from Kathopanishad in the actual text itself. So Bhagavad Gita is given high prominence in the study in the tradition. Along with Bhagavad Gita, 10 major Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, there is another text which is very important as well, because it answers all the doubts which are raised during the study of the Upanishad. It is called the Brahma Sutra. Brahma Sutras are short aphorisms. There are 555 very small aphorisms packed with meaning. Each one is packed and it has to be unfolded, which are the philosophical reflections on the Upanishads. So any doubt you have, and it's amazing because when we studied this with the Puja Swami Vedānta Saraswati in the Gurukulam, after 3 years of studying the other texts, the 10 Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, all 18 chapters with the commentary, still some doubts remained. And as soon as Swamiji took up Brahma Sutras, I don't know how it happens, but amazing. Every single person in that course, they said, every doubt that they ever had during the course of the study is answered in that text. So it's like there's one mind involved, and the rishis knew what the doubts would be that would arise in a human being's mind, and they're all answered in that text. So very beautifully, these three bodies of texts are called Prasthanatraya, very important. Prasthanatraya, the major text studied in the Advaita Vedanta tradition, the non-dual tradition of non-dual philosophy. So there are different types of Vedanta as well. It is not only Advaita Vedanta that is taken up. The Hare Krishnas, they also study Vedanta. They have their own text of study, which is their own philosophy, Achintya Bheda Bheda. So their own commentators take the Upanishads and they take those words. You also have Vishishta Advaita, which is another, it's qualified non-dualism. That's what it's translated as in English. There you have other commentators taking words of Upanishads as well. But Advaita Vedanta tradition, as I said, it is mainly these texts that are studied. So how is this book, our text in this whole picture? Introductory texts are written within the tradition. Introductory texts are written by acharyas or teachers in the tradition. And these introductory texts, entry into the Prasthana Traya, entry into the study of the Upanishads and of Bhagavad Gita and of Brahma Sutra, these are called Prakarana Granthas. They are the introductory texts. They are attributed to various teachers in the lineage. So they are not actually the Upanishad, they are not actually Bhagavad Gita texts, they are just introductory for you to understand what the subject matter of the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita is. And Drig-Drishya Viveka is a famous text in one of these introductory texts. What it does is it looks at the mirror of the eye. We love to look at ourselves in the mirror. I know physically, whenever we pass a reflecting medium, anyway, we go in a shopping center, whenever there's anything reflection, we love to turn and have a look at ourselves. Here, this book is asking you to look at yourself, but not the self that you think you are, not the physical body self. It is asking you to look deeper levels of the self. Who is it that you really are? And it reveals the one thing that you love most, because you love looking at yourself, is actually Atma, the most loved, Priyatama, the self, the Atma is the most loved. Ananda Swarupa, it is called in Sanskrit, which is the Ananda Swarupa means the nature of bliss, nature of happiness, limitless joy. That is what we love. We love that pleased self. In moments of pleasure, what happens? That pleased self is awakened. And that is what we enjoy. And we keep going after in life, this repeated experience of that pleased self to be awakened. So this book helps one discover that pleased self. Who is that Atma? What is that Atma? The authorship of this book is questioned. And this is another beautiful thing in the tradition. They never signed their names. I wrote this book, nothing. They just left it for posterity, gave it to the world. Hardly any of the books we know the authorship. That is why every book in the tradition, it's given to Shankara. They say Adi Shankara, Shankaracharya. But as he lived only apparently 32 years of life, definitely he could not have authored all of those books. So there are other authors in the Parampara, but because of the humility of the Parampara, this knowledge, they never claimed as my knowledge. This is part of the tradition. No knowledge belongs to me. It is given by the rishis, and everybody just becomes a medium of communication in the lineage. So there is no authorship actually given to this book, although some commentators, some scholars say that it is Vidyaranya, who was a great pontiff of Sringeri Mutt. Sringeri is one of the main Advaita mutts in India, and he was an acharya 600 years ago. He lived there and he was heading that institution. 600 years ago, he wrote this text, and you will see it is still applicable to today. It doesn't matter. This is timeless knowledge applicable to today. The Drig-Drishya Viveka is in the form of verses of prose. And as I said, it means the seer scene analysis. It examines the universal mix-up. Universal mix-up means what? Everybody makes the mistake. Universal is universal. What is that mistake? I am the body. I am the mind. I am the senses. This I am is mixed up with the physical body. This I am is mixed up with the mind. I am is mixed up with the senses. So Vivekaha is a discriminative analysis. Vivich pritak karane, it means two things are separated. Two things that are mixed up are separated. So you can see what is what, basically. because we don't really analyze life. We don't really see things in depth. We don't really understand what really is what. And that is why we suffer. That is what the Shastra says. We suffer because we don't understand the true nature of life and of ourselves also. So this text begins with a bang. The first verse itself contains everything. And the whole of the text is just the unfoldment of the first verse. So we can chant very simple Sanskrit, very beautiful Sanskrit, and you can repeat the first verse after me. Rupam drishyam lochanam drika tad drishyam driktumanasam drishyadi vrittaya sakshi drigeva natu drishyate. So this is the first verse of Drig-Drishya Viveka. And as I said, straight into the subject matter. Very dramatic entrance into this profound knowledge. And it is also seen as a prayer, because usually these texts will always have a prayer verse. Unusually, this does not have a prayer verse. But the prayer is contained within the first verse itself, because it talks about Sakshi, the witness, the eternal witness, Sakshi. And Sakshi is Parameshwara, is Bhagavan, is Ishvara. So the very first verse contains Parameshwara as a mention. So in the first verse, he is saying, the author, let Ishvara, the Sakshi, Antaryami, the indweller in each heart, bless this work, bless this text. So it helps others, it reaches people, and it changes their lives. That is the prayer of all acharyas, that everybody's life should become better. This knowledge is not divorced from your day-to-day life. It should translate into your actions, translate into your interactions as well. So the analysis of the seer and seen begins with the first verse itself. And what does it say? The object in this world, there are two things. There is the seer and there are the seen. There is a seer and there is the seen. So Drik is the seer, Drishya is the seen. All the objects that are seen are called Drishya. The subject is Drik. Drashta or Drik is the subject. So whatever I objectify, others can also objectify. Anything I objectify is not me. That is the idea. Anything I can objectify, anything I see, I perceive is not me. So this is a very primary technique of self-inquiry that is given in these scriptures. It is for self-inquiry to discover the true nature of the self, of the I. So in every experience I find in life, there is a subject, there is an object, there is a knower and a seer, and the experiences that I go through are known and they are seen. And we'll see this, how this happens. Deeper and deeper levels of inquiry it goes into. And in the first verse, there are 3 stages of inquiry. And before we begin the inquiry, we have to remember 3 mantras for this whole text. What is that? Number 1, the seen and the seer are different from each other. The seen and the seer are different from each other. Number 1. Number 2, the seer is one. The seer is one, the seen is many. The seer is one, the seen is many. And number 3, the seer is unchanging. The seer does not change, but the seen keeps changing. So these are the 3 things that the author uses to analyze on deeper levels. First, the seen and the seer are different from each other. The seer is one and the seen is many. The seer is unchanging, the seen keeps on changing. So with the first verse itself, he says the seen and seer are different. We saw that. What does he say? Rupam drishyam lochanam drika. The eyes are the seer. The eyes are the seer. And what is the seen? Forms and colors and shapes and anything perceived becomes the seen. Anything we see in the Jagat becomes the seen. The eyes are the seer. And when he says eyes, we have to include all the sense organs, okay? So when we include ears, when we include ears, touch. So the ears are the hearer and everything, all the objects of sound are heard. But here he takes eyes for an example, so we'll go with what he says. This is a very common sense thing. We know that the eyes see and everything is seen. But this is to tell us it is not so common as we think it is. It is not as simple as we think it is. We saw in Tattva Bodha, the Adhisthana Devatas give power to the eyes. The power behind the eyes, the power behind the senses is granted by the presiding deities of the senses. So the power here to be able to see objects is it says the Drik, Lochanam Drik, the eyes are the seer. And the world of objects are the seen. And here the text beautifully goes from the known to the unknown. So this is very, very, very well known. This is basic fact. We don't need text to come and tell us this. This is very basic fact. But the teaching always takes us from the known to the unknown, from the gross to the subtle. That is part of the teaching methodology. So the seer is one, the eyes are relatively one, they are one, and the seen is many. So it works with the mantras that we have for analysis. The same organ of vision and all the objects and all the varieties of names and forms we see in the world, so many of them, they vary. And the eyes are relatively unchanging, but all these objects keep changing, right? I don't have one object stuck in my eyes for, 24 hours of the day. Every moment there's changing scenes. So all the objects are changing and the eyes are relatively the same. So no one thing stays in my vision forever. Very basic. So he begins this text with a very basic fact that the eyes are the seer when it comes to the world of objects, the seen. But then he asks the question, is it really true that the eyes are the seer? He says, the eyes themselves become the seen. The eyes themselves are drishyam. Tat drishyam driktumanasam. Who sees the eyes? It is the mind. The mind becomes the seer and the eyes become the seen. Because you know your state of your eyes. You know the conditions of your eyes. You know whether your eyes can see. You know whether your eyes do not see. That is why in the old days when we used to go to the opticians, we used to have those, and now I'm not talking about new technology and everything where they can judge your vision. But when the optician used to put the, glass, the lenses, and used to say, can you see now? Can you see now? Can you see now? Who is that who says, I can see now? I can see now. And who is that knows that you can see, read, on those alphabet charts, how many lines you can read? You know this condition of your eyes. That is what he's saying in this second stage of analysis. Yes, the eyes were the seer when it came to the world, definitely. But the eyes themselves become seen because the mind sees the eyes. The mind sees the conditions of the eyes. The mind knows the eyes. I know the eyes well because I know I need specs. I know I cannot see very well. Oh, I'm getting long-sighted now. I need specs to read. Who is that knows? The mind knows the whole body. So the body is known. The mind becomes the knower. The mind knows the condition of all the senses. You know when you're going deaf, when you can't hear. How do you know? Who knows the condition of the ears? The ears are known to the mind. So he's saying in the second part of this verse, he's saying the mind becomes the seer and the eyes become the seen. So drigeva driktu manasam, the second part of this whole analysis. And then the third part, there's a third stage to this. But the mind is different from the eyes. Yeah, the mind is different from the eyes. It's different from the senses. Knower and known, as we said, the three mantras that we learned at the beginning, the knower and known are different. The mind is different from the sense organs and the conditions of the sense organs and body. The same mind knows. So the mind is relatively unchanging. It remains one. The conditions of the sense organs change. The conditions of the body change. Everything else keeps changing. But he goes one step more. The mind itself is seen. The mind itself is seen. He says that Rupam Drishyam Lochanam Drika Tat Drishyam Driktu Manasam Drishyadi Vrittayas Sakshi. All the thoughts in your head, even the ahankara, the egoic self, the sense of individuality, they are also witnessed by you. You know your mind. You know the states of your mind. You know when you're sad. You know when you're angry. You know when you're happy. Who is that knows the mind? It has to be different from the mind, right? If you know, what is the rule? The seer and seen are different. The seer and seen are different. If you can see your mind, if you see your thoughts, if you know your thoughts, then the mind is different from the seer. The mind itself becomes seen. Now, in the third stage of analysis, he says mind is not the ultimate seer. On the level, from one standpoint, we're witnessing or seeing the conditions of the sense organs, mind is seer, and the sense organs become the seen. But now, the thoughts that I have, the functions of my mind, the happiness, the joy, the experiences, the memories are also witnessed by me, are witnessed by something. I'm able to perceive them, I'm able to objectify them. So what does that mean? Thoughts do not belong to you. In this third stage, very beautifully, even if you understand this third stage, it is enough. You can manage your thoughts and you can really have a lot of inner space by understanding this third stage. When you know these thoughts can come and go. They have no solid power over you. It is like, people traveling on public transport. When we go on public transport together, and you're sitting and, people come on, passengers get on, and then they get off, they get on, get off, and you're clinging to the passengers. As they're trying to get off, you start clinging to the passengers saying, no, I'm not letting you off, I'm not letting you off. That is exactly what we do with our thoughts. They are very happy to get off. At the time their destination comes, they will leave. But we are the ones who cling on to them and we want to keep them with us. We hold on to them. So this is what he's saying here, that you are the knower of the mind and not the mind. You are knower of the mind, not the mind. We are so attached to people and things and all these problems in the world. You can see that all the problems that we have in life and everything attached to this body. First of all, body also becomes objectified in this analysis. Body is an object of your knowledge. You see your body, you see the functions. You see, now he's saying you even see the mind, which means what? You are separate from your body, mind and senses. You cannot be your problems. They don't belong to you because you are separate from them. You are the seer of all the things that you have to go through. So how can experience hurt you? You cannot be an object to be hurt because you're different from the mind. It is the mind that experiences hurt, right? If you are aware of your hurt, you're aware of all these emotions, you cannot be those emotions. So this is what this particular third stage helps us with. It helps us to learn to let go. There's a traditional story that is told, not this public transport story, but a traditional one of a monkey holding a banana. It puts his hand in the jar. There's a banana in the jar, and it puts his hand in the jar to grab the banana, but it can't get its hand out because it cannot get its hand out with the banana. So his hand gets trapped in the jar, holding onto the banana. It is so attached to the banana, it won't let go. And it can escape if it would just realize that it lets go, but it thinks it cannot let go. So it keeps on holding on to the banana. And this is exactly how our mind traps us. It is like the thoughts are like bananas, We grab onto it, we grab on, and like desire and all the desires and confusion keep us bound, and we cannot take our hand out. So we suffer because Shastra says you're the one grabbing on. You don't realize the truth of who you really are. And who are you? Who are you? He says in the first verse itself, who you are. Let go of those things that don't belong to you anyway. They belong to the world. You are the seer and knower of the mind. He says, Drigeva natu drishyate, drishya dhivrittaya sakshi. You are the witness, you are sakshi, the witness, the ultimate witness. Drigeva natu drishyate, beyond this witness there is no other witness. This is the witness of all witnesses. So you cannot, otherwise you go to infinite regression. Who is the witness of this witness, right? This is the ultimate seer. He's come down to the ultimate seer, who is Sakshi. Sakshi is one, the Drigeva, the witness self, witnesses the condition of the mind. The witness self witnesses the condition of the mind. And what remains after all this negation that is done is this I, this witness, which is Swayam Bhati. It is self-shining, self-luminous, self-revealing, Swayam Prakasha. And this Sakshi, if we put our laws that we learned at the beginning there, Sakshi is different from the mind. This witness is different from the mind because seer and seen are different. Sakshi remaining one, the seen are many. So the mind are a bundle of thoughts. The Shastra definition of mind is what? Just vritti atmakam manaha, bundle of thoughts. The mind is varied now and the Sakshi is one. The mind is continuously changing. Does one thought stay in the mind forever? No. One thought comes, other thoughts come. One thought goes and other thoughts come. Mind is continuously changing, but who is there to witness the changes in the mind? Who is there to know the different moods of your mind? Who is there who says, I'm moody today, I'm in a bad mood, keep away from me. I'm in a good mood, yeah, let's do something together. Who is that who says that? So this is the subject matter of this text, the analysis of Sakshi. How do I know this witness? How do I discover the witness? It is the very seer of all that is seen, very seer of everything that is witnessed. In every experience we have in life, this is the Sakshi that enlivens the mind, and the mind enlivens the senses enliven the whole universe, that whole Jagat. This is how knowledge takes place actually. So he says in this verse, you can never know the witness, because the witness, it is the nature of the subject. It is the very subject. So you only know things when you're objectifying them, right? You can only know something when there's something different to you. Here, it is the very nature of the subject. It is like the eyes cannot see themselves. The eyes need a reflecting mirror, reflecting medium to see their own selves. So here, the reflecting medium to see the self, a Sakshi, the truth, is the words of Vedanta. So the one true, only seer is this witness. The true knower is this witness alone, and everything else in this world is known. So in the first level of this verse, he says, the eyes are the seer, the forms and colors of this world are the seen. The eyes are the seer, the forms and colors of the world are seen. On the second level he takes us to, he says, no, but the eyes are also seen. Because I know the state of my eyes. What knows the state of the eyes? The mind becomes the seer. The mind sees the condition of the eyes and all the senses and the body. And on the third level, he says, wait a minute, the thoughts and feelings that you have in your mind, all the ideas, they are also witnessed. And something is watching them. Divrittayaha, all these divrittis, something is watching them. And the fourth level of this verse, he says, that witness is the real seer. Drigeva natu drishyate. It never becomes an object of knowledge. It is the ultimate seer, and that ultimate seer is you. You, Atma, that ultimate seer is you. So all the wrong identifications we have, slowly he will dismiss now with the rest of the verses in this text. Because it is, as I said, it is not an easy text. It's very technical as well. But in the next few verses, he will start dismissing all the other things, objects of knowledge, until you have to see that there is only one seer. There's only I that remains. So the next few verses, the second, the fourth, and the fifth, are elaborating on this first verse. The second verse talks about the forms and the seen and the eyes being the seer in more detail. And the fourth verse talks about the eyes being the seen and the mind as the seer. And then the mind itself, the fifth verse talks about the seer of the mind, which is never experienced, always the experiencer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya, Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम।